Hey there, gamers. Welcome back to Banished Souls Cryptic Gaming here. Okay, so I get a lot of questions about, man, at least several times each season, if not several times a week. So I want to go over some of this empire management with you. We're going to start over. I'm currently on an island, but you can start at your basic map. You're going to tab over. And as you capture areas, maybe you're running buyouts, maybe you're doing hostile takeovers, maybe you're doing solo takeovers, but you're going to be gaining these little manufactories. Okay, we're going to just kind of break this back to the beginning and show you how much this has changed. Because it used to be you get a manufacturer, you'd upgrade it, and you'd pick up your product when it was ready. Now you have auto pickup zones. You have ships that you can have actually do the manufacturer runs for you. So we're going to go over all that for you just so you can kind of get a base of what's actually happening here. So, okay, so as you can see over on the left, this gives an overview of how many pieces of 8 you're gathering an hour, how much silver you're spending an hour, how much territorial zones, how many completions you have of your routes, and so on and so forth there. Now, you may see that, well, he's only getting 582 an hour. Well, I'm not funded anything yet this morning. I'm still working on getting my areas done. Now, when it comes to the indies, I've not been pushing real hard. I think next season this is going to be my bigger location, and I'm going to show you why, just giving you an idea. This is a new feature we have in here. It is called Auto Collect. And if we can find the areas with it here. Okay, but auto collect is not the only feature. So this here's going to be an auto collect zone. You see the auto collection there on the right. It says auto collection. When you complete that entire zone, you can come over and just auto collect. And you don't have to have ships pick that up. You don't have to pick it up yourself. So some other zones that are like that, you have this one over here in the Red Isle. You have this one here in Africa. There's another one up the top of Africa. And that's kind of what I've been just kind of focusing on, is just looking. So if you look here, we can collect the profit here. Just hold our X button. Boom, and we've taken all of it. It takes a real small percentage off, not really that much. We're going to finish funding those up. Now, when it comes to your manufacturer, you may be looking, some of these, as you can see, are 10s, some are, 9s and things like that. It's up to you how high you want to bring them up. I've only bringing these to 5, 6s, and maybe a few 7s, depending on what they pay out. The auto collection zones, I typically will bring those to a 10 just because it's easier to collect them. Okay, you're going to go to Manage Factory, and it's going to have a fund, but if you're only a level 2, you don't want to bother funding that because you're only going to fund for 4 hours. You want to have this funded for at least 12 hours. My preference is closer to 24. If you look here, you tabbed over using the RT button. It says Upgraded Manufacturing, and it charges you pieces of 8 to do that. So we're going to bring this up, and for every level, you're going to increase the hourly production rate of your pieces of 8. The capacity of that bank as well, but you're also increasing the amount of time that stays funded. And if you are, say, rank 7 on that base, when you do a funding, it's going to do 1 day and 6 hours. So we could fund that for a day and 6 hours. Just for those who are wondering, that's looking about 30 hours there. So it'll be a 30-hour fund. So that's not a bad little thing to have on there. Now you can assign a ship to that if you feel that you need to. Me personally, I just have a bunch of ships built, and as I want to pick up on these zones, I'll just queue up the ship to pick up that zone, and they just kind of rotate wherever they're at on the locations. So we've got the East Indies funded up. Let's go ahead and fund the rest of this. Now this is the part that I'm hoping to see some changes in here in the future. They've done a good job with the collections. You used to have to go to all these locations and pick it up by yourself. You don't have to do that anymore because you do have those auto collect zones, and then you have ships that can pick that stuff up for you. I'm hoping to see a auto fund would be great, like if they had a max fund or a minimum fund where it would fund all of it. Max meaning, if you look at here, there's different fundings. You can do 40 per hour, 29 an hour. That's going to change the cost of silver that you're spending. So if you don't want to spend as much silver, do the smaller ones, but you don't get as many pieces of 8. And that's an hourly production rate on those 8s, guys. Now, as you can see, this one here would be like 47 an hour. Now, hey, 101 an hour. Well, that's because we have those completed territories. I focus on completing a lot of the territories and stuff for the Red Isle. Like I say, I've never been too big on grabbing all of Africa and all of the Indies here lately. In fact, I didn't even bother with all of the Red Isle this year, mainly because once you get these taken care of, there's really only a few zones that I'm really interested in at the moment, and here's why. At the end of your season, now this has been true since season 1, I'm assuming it's going to be the same going from 3 to 4. When we went to 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3, this was the way it worked. You can keep 300,000 pieces of 8, and that's it coming across. Now you have to spend the rest of your 8s on inventories. You know, whether it's boxes, you're buying box legacy chests, or just regular type inventory items you're trying to stock up on. You know, you can do that with the black market and with every provider in the game. Really, you can do that with. So, I want to see here. Not that we got a ship there. I was going to show you how to move some ships if we got to, but so far we're looking okay. But right now I'm just coming through and I want to fund all these. So we're going to go more into the Empire Management, explaining some of these zones here for you. So is it worth getting the other zones that don't have auto collect? Well, the answer for that is yes. There are going to be some different things that when you collect in the zone. So like this one here, you're going to get reduced funding cost of clan farm manufactured by 20%, increased production rates of CP manufactured by 10% by owning that whole zone. Okay. Now, there are some zones such as this one here. It gives 150 silver bonus every hour. This one here is going to give you a reduced funding cost, Confederation Ungodwin manufactured by 20%. And of course, this one here is your auto collect zone. This in here will be a 250 silver bonus every hour, so that's definitely worth completing off. It looks like I've got one more when it comes up. Actually, it looks like it may actually be up for a takeover here. Starts in a minute. I don't really feel like doing that right now. We're making a video, but that's what you would do, is look at the zones that interest you, and you can grab them all. Most people grab them all. Like I say, I haven't been focusing too much on grabbing all the manufacturers. You can see we still have one down here in the Red Isle to grab. And I'm going to show you why I haven't. There's only so much that you can bring into the next season with you, like I say, rather than getting greedy. I know first season we were hammering hard trying to grab everything, scrambling to grab them all. But what I figured out is the cost of silver in this game versus how much silver you actually make. You're going to spend more than you can make when you do these manufactories. Anyone who's had all the manufactories, y'all could go, yeah, well, it's got a little cheaper. And you're right on that. But one of the things that hasn't happened, though, is they haven't increased the amount of silver we're getting to really make it worth bringing all these up to a 10 and pulling that stuff in. Yeah, you can hit your diamond rank and stuff, but you can grab all the Red Isle and just have those at 5s and hit your diamond rank and get all the pieces of 8 and all the sovereigns that they will allow you to have for the season to transfer over into the next one. And right now, there's a few weapons that's maybe pretty good over in the black market. But you're only going to be able to bring 300,000. And typically, most of us, when we go into a new season, we use that to upgrade our books first. And in manufacturer, we're going to show you that also. I'm just taking you through the basics of this, man, because I get asked this question a lot, and everybody has a different way of doing it. Like, say, I used to be gun-ho, grab all the territories that you can get. That you want to have the best footing going into a new season as possible. And while that's still possible, having an overabundance of pieces of 8, most everything that you're going to need going into next season, you're going to have to grind. You're not really buying a whole lot of that stuff. You can come in, I guess, and go to the black market and buy like your materials to make naphtha, the volatile napalm and stuff. You can buy a lot of those materials that then refine into it. So definitely worth that if you've not done that yet. But like I say, if you have just one aisle, you're probably going to collect enough. Once we get this funded all the way, you're going to see exactly what we're pulling per hour here on pieces of 8. Okay, I think that's got all those. Okay, so now currently per hour we're making 2,623. Like I say, you keep those manned up as far as like keep it filled up with silver. You're going to be kicking out 2,600 plus every hour on these manufactories. And that adds up pretty quick. I mean, throughout just a day. You see we're already at 270,000. I spent a bunch of 8s on other stuff, and we're going to show you what things we spend our extras on too. So I hope that kind of explains the basics of this. you know, when you're looking at your territories and you're looking at your zones. So a territory would be a manufactory, a big isle like the Red Isle or the African Isle, or you would have the Indies Isles. To completely own all of it, you need to have every location. So like this one keeps me from completing that out, but you know, I might grab it if it comes up. It's not a real big deal to me. Uh, I mostly look at what I'm pulling in per hour at this point, and you can bring in a lot, but as you can see, you don't have to bring everything up to 10s to do that. We used to bring everything to 10s, but I don't really do that anymore because some of those ships will actually have a hard time doing auto pickup, and I despise picking up pieces of 8. I had my fill of that in season 1, guys, where you going around and we collected every single territory every single day. It was just crazy. Now we get what we call these defenses, hostile defenses, which is where they will attack your manufactories and you have to go defend your factory and stuff from the computer, which is awesome. I love doing that. That's actually probably one of my favorite things to do in this game right now. But we could have fast traveled, but I like to do the running because it makes the video a little bit more interesting, I think. So this is our helm management. You can look in here and you can see where you're rated amongst the rest of the players. Now, usually we try to aim for, 1,000 or something like that this season, but 1,900 is fine for me. I'm not too crazy about it. Diamond is the current rank, which means that I have gone through and collected all the different tiers of collecting pieces of 8, and I've earned the major bulk of the sovereigns. Now, every week that it does a restart or a maintenance, you'll get a few sovereigns, but that's going to base off of your tier here. So I am trying to focus on being tier 5, which we just were, so we funded everything up. So I went about, I don't know, a couple of days without funding anything, without collecting anything. And then you come in here, and after you let this build up for a day or something, when we come back in the morning, this will typically kick us up to a tier 3, which is going to give us, I'm not 100% clear on the numbers. It seems like it changes a little bit, but it's anywhere between 200 and 300 sovereigns is what you get at the beginning of a new week. So, or when you go from tier 5 up into tier 3, and you can do that a couple times a week. So you can potentially be getting 500 to 600 of these pieces or sovereigns every week. And I do recommend that you do that, play that around once you hit where you don't really need anything extra. So this is our empire, guys. This is the same map we had at the other one. And you can go through and collect as much stuff as you want. Now, one of the things that I may do next season, like I said, because there's quite a few areas here that are auto collects. Like this would be an auto collect here. There's an auto collect over here. Then there's an auto collect over here. So there's like 3 locations where we can do that at. The other ones have like that 4 locations. So that's pretty nice to have that feature in the game. Now, there's a couple zones in here that don't have it, such as this one here. But it gives a pretty good little, it's a 400 silver bonus every hour. So that one there would be worth having. Like I said, I'm just kind of keeping an eye out for some of these things. When this one here comes up, we'll probably grab it, Harufu Weaver. When this in here opens up, we'll probably grab it. Just get that 200 and that 150 silver bonus every hour. An extra 350 silver doesn't hurt to have. So do recommend doing that. Now, if you're looking for great areas to farm, guys, again, the best way to farm, there are some rare materials, and we're going to show you where those are right now. These are some of the rarest materials you're going to need, and you can queue up the intro for these materials. We got to take you to the refinery, unfortunately, to show you these mats here. So let's go do that real quick. Looks like we've been busy over here in this thing anyway. So we have what's called naphtha. Okay, so this is something when you go to build it, you actually need a couple of other materials that you get from the helm. So to build naphtha, you need quicklime, dry casting sand. You can actually pick those up anywhere, but you buy that from the black market. It's just lime, and then it's dry casting sand. So when you get it, you'll get casting sand over in the black market, or you can get it from ships and different things that are in the game as well. You convert it into dry casting sand, and then you have lime, and then it has to convert into quick lime. So you get the lime fighting ships. You get lime by come off like back out here, get to the map. Most ships in this area down in this zone here are going to have lime. You can go to the codex for those, it's called knowledge. You go to knowledge and you go to codex, then you can look at the materials that you have, any types of materials that it is that you're needing to find. So you can find raw materials, refined materials, helm materials, scrap materials, exotic materials. When you click on it, it's going to show you what you have. Like here's your scraps. If you're looking for helm materials, which would be like say gannet, saltpeter, and stuff like that. The best way to find those, you can get them from the black market, which is, I'm not going to say cheap. It's the quickest way, I guess you could say. It is the quickest way to buy it from the black market. But the cheapest way to do it. But it takes a while, man. I'm not going to lie to you. It can take a while to get it to turn out. So you're going to come over to your supply network. And you're going to come over and you're going to look for rogue hunts, okay? So this one here has got worms, a fleet of worms. So that means you can get worm's breath from that, okay? If you're looking at this in here, you're going to go get a fleet of gannets. So it's going to be gannet, saltpeter. Again, gannet, saltpeter, orca, so you can get orca mechanisms. Now, all of these used to be a top-end item piece, but now they're actually used. You have to have them to refine and make extra parts for these new ships and new weapons. So they actually refine with other items now. And we'll come up here because I'm pretty sure I'd put some in the queue up here. Now, one of the things I've noticed, at least for me, I don't know if this is true across the board, there are certain items, now I don't recall which ones exactly, but I've been noticing that there are certain items where when you refine them, you have to be in the game for the counter to continue counting. Now, I don't know if you've all have noticed that or not. I do know that there was a couple people that had asked about it in our Discord group, and it's something that I myself had noticed. I just assumed it was a little glitch or something, you know, but apparently it's something in the game that there's certain ones that you have to be on for to refine in real time. So there's just some of that worm volatile napalm. And that was made using worm's breath. So to make one of those, you need 5 worm's breath, you need 3 naphtha, you need 2 quicklime, and 2 casting sand. Like I say, you need that. Well, what do you need something like that for? Well, you need it for a few things. One of them is for new ships. The other one is you need it for new weapons. We'll take you over here to this new weapon here. Now, there's been some controversy about this weapon. I've not used it much yet. I'm planning to do some videos with it today, a couple tests. So we need 4 more Phoenix Beak to build 1 more of those, and that'll have a complete set. That is that new Demi Cannon. I've heard that some of the features don't seem to be working on it. Not sure. I haven't tested it myself. We'll test that here in just a minute. What I'm looking for is Blackwood right now because I need those Phoenix Beaks. And he is where you can get those. Now, you can save your jade. A lot of people said save all your jade. I do recommend saving your jade as much as you can. However, remember, make sure that you've got the weapons that you're going to want to have done. Looks like we have an available contract here. The Iron Serpent. Seems like I'm pretty sure I've done that one. This is a repeatable one, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, buy and sell. We're going to come up here. There's a few things we want from him. So we want the Jade Phoenix statues. You can only buy, I think, 2 at a time. And then we want the Phoenix Beak here. You can get 4 of those at a time. Now, that's not just, that's all you can buy every hour. What that actually is you can buy from this location. And we can buy from the Blackwood at this location. Every hour or every 30 minutes. It seems like it's every hour, but some of these stores refresh every 30 minutes or so. So that you're just gonna have to look and see what it is there, guys. Okay, let's see here. That, and we'll get this, and then I can finish building. Now, I don't know how well these Demis are going to be, guys. I really don't. I'm a Demi Cannon. I love Demi Cannons. Okay, with Zama 3s, definitely my favorite out of all the cannons. Now, one of the new weapons that I do really enjoy is this Heaven's Mandate Covern, which is right there. So that's another one. You need those lightning dragon claws when you have to go defeat the dragon, to quick lime the Napa, the Volatile, napalm, and the Gannet's concentrated niter. All that stuff is like Gannet saltpeter is turned into the concentrated niter and all that kind of stuff. So you have to go run those things where I've shown you on that paperwork there at the board. Run those or just buy it from the black market, and that's going to get expensive, but it's something you can be spending those 8s on because you can only carry 300,000 anyway. So what I'm looking at right now is Demi Cannons. So this Phoenix Talon, I need one more to complete my ship. Now, I've heard some mixed reviews on this. If you guys don't like it, they say the Zama's more powerful. And by status, looking at the status of the weapons, I'm glad to say they're probably right on that. Just basically looking at, so we got 1374 damage on that one versus 1248. So reload time a little slower with the Phoenix Talon, not by much, but just a little bit. But you get this 18 strikes, landing 18 hits at a single volley, instantly deal 1888 burning damage. The effect deals 200% as much damage on a target with the blaze status effect. So it's supposed to do another 200% as much with that ablaze status. So that tells you something right there. You want a ship that's going to be good for a blaze, which is a sandbuck, obviously. There's another little ship that you can use like wildfire and stuff like that, but I think it's mostly geared toward explosive damage. So sandbuck looking pretty good for this so far. Provoking hits on a target cause buildup of taunted status effects. So that's good. So when you're hitting on there, it creates taunted. For those who don't know what provoking and taunted is, that reduces the enemy's firing at you, the damage they put out on you, by 50% once you can get that effect going. So burning 2 adds 20% of damage of burning damage. So great one on that. Now this may not be the greatest weapon when it comes to, say, PvE, but it could be a pretty good option for PvP. I'm not sure. It's something we'll have to test with our group a little bit here. Weak point damage 150%, projectile speeds 400 meters, ship size all sizes. So we do now have a complete set of those. We'll put that on our sandbuck here. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we'll put that there. And I think now we're going to take our ship out and do a little test with it. But before we do, one more thing I wanted to do today. They sent us a prize pack. My understanding is it's supposed to be in our mailbox. This is for the other day. I guess when we had those issues where our 8s and stuff wasn't building, we were able to get this little prize gift here. So here's the Skull and Bones team. They gave us 100 sheet glass, 100 sand. It's just casting sand. It's not dry casting sand. 100 of the pitch, 10 of the eel's rope, 100 of the shellac, 10 of the orca mechanisms. So a few things. 150 sovereigns. I mean, a few little things and stuff. I will be honest with you. I've had more stuff go missing in my warehouse than what the rewarding is here. And not to sound, we'll move this to warehouse. Not to sound ungrateful, because hey man, every little bit helps. But when you have more than that go missing out of your warehouse, like 10 precision bits, and I had up in the thousands of those, and then they reduced the amount that we, or at least for me, reduced the amount that I had in the warehouse. I don't know if they're doing adjustments on stuff. I know some of the things they've adjusted, and that's fine. But there are some items such as like repair kit 1s, enhanced repair kit 1s, where you'll have 900 of them, then you come back in and then you have 400 of them, the next time you have 90 of them. Stuff like that seems to happen quite a bit. So at this point, I would rather them to just stop messing with our inventory. Don't worry about giving me gifts, But like I say, that's something that happens with maintenances. If you take screenshots of your inventories, your warehouses and stuff, you're going to be more apt to get those replaced from Ubisoft. Just so you know. I know there's a lot of folks who are like, well, I don't really feel like taking screenshots. I don't have the time for screenshots. That's one of the things I love about the Xbox because it's literally just tab over. Screenshot it. We have a button on our controller we hit. It'll screenshot and just scroll down some. Screenshot again, scroll down some more, screenshot again, and then when we come through, we can look and be like, "Hey, okay, here's what we're missing." So, legacy cache boxes. I buy these typically. Now I will go through and I will get like the Gannets and stuff like that. I run Imperial Jade and stuff a lot of times also, but try to build up, your Blue Lotus, your White Skulls, and your Gold Skulls, your Black Lotus, your Tobaccos, and things like that. Try to get that built up and keep it built up if we can, at least a few thousand. The reason we do that is because you never really know when it's going to be needed for a ship. So right now I'm putting legacy caches. Again, why I do this is all the weapons and stuff, and even some of the furniture that's in this season come next season, because this works going from season 2 to season 3. So I'm assuming it's going to be true. You keep your legacy caches, and it adds that to the list of things that can be opened up from there. So we ended up getting quite a few weapons from season 2. When we entered into this season, once I got the weapons and the furnitures that I was wanting out of it, I stopped opening boxes, started building my stockpile back up. So that's kind of one of the things that I'm doing with my pieces of 8 right now, is building that kind of stuff up. When it comes to shields or armor and stuff, there's a few that I really absolutely love. So Stormwoven Symphony, I like that because it has that crescendo AoE effect. For those aware of what AoE is, the area of effect, okay? So it causes an area of effect in there. Then we have Immortal Vessel, which is pretty good. It does an indomitable thing where your ship becomes unsinkable for the next 6 seconds, which can buy you some time. It's not the greatest in the world. Black Prince is probably still one of the best armors in the game, guys. I mean, just really. Buccaneer's Oath is a great armor to use for, say, the Sandbuck. Well, really any ship. Once you sink something, that blood gold perk kicks in, and everything becomes 25% stronger, increasing your weapons damage and your armor by 25% for 30 seconds every time you sink a ship. So great stuff on that as well. But then, of course, there is this other armor that I can build now. Let's see what it's called. Let's see. I think I've got it on. What ship did I put that on? Got it on a couple, I think. I think it's on the battle junk, maybe. Let's look and see. Yeah, Phoenix Crest. So this one here, you can build this. You get the blueprint. And then once you start building this, you have this every hit received while bracing will build up a taunted status effect on the enemy target. So while you're bracing, you're building up taunted on that enemy target, which is pretty cool because it actually reduces the amount of damage that they can do to you. Increases your brace strength recovery by 100% for each enemy with taunted status effect. I like it. It's pretty decent armor, I think. Then there is I'm going to have to go to the armor, guys, because there's another armor I wanted to show you too. I apologize. I'm trying to get as much stuff in. I'm looking at the questions that I've been kind of writing down here. I want to try and make a all-inclusive video for you folks. Now, I know there's some people who pop into video and then they're in and out real quick, but I just want to take time just to kind of go through some of this new stuff. There's a lot of new stuff, there really is. Okay. Change my ship out here, guys. So yeah, I was really excited to get my battle bark back. Now we've ended up building another one while we were waiting on them to give it back, but we did get our battle bark back, so that was pretty awesome. Celestial Dance, that's what it's called. Okay, so Celestial Dance armor. This is one that you can build as well. It says electricity arcs gracefully from foe to foe. I believe you get this from the black market, is where it was. When you're bracing on there, you're going to be getting that 1230 armor, 10% negation on explosives, 16 on flooding, 5 on burning, none on tearing, 20 on piercing, 20 on electric. It has lightning stream perk. Braces charges a lightning attack that will chain up to 4 targets, meaning that if there's 4 ships within a certain distance of you, it's going to send 1600 electric damage per target, and it's just going to bounce from ship to ship and just start messing. Kind of like the AoE effect with the Crescendo. This one uses lightning instead of a sonic pulse. So very awesome shielding to have there as well. So I do recommend it if you don't have it to get it. But again, it's kind of a niche armor, and that's true of all of them. You got to find what works best for you. So there's a lot of guys, they like to build a ship that's going to tank it out. And right now, man, if you're looking to tank the battle junk that they have here, that's what the ship's called, a battle junk. That's a tank and a half, man. It's better than the snow on the tanking aspect of things. So that's awesome. Now, if you like a DPS ship that's going to come in, tear them up, and knock them down pretty quick, Sandbuck's the way I typically go. That's just my preference. It's not to say it's the only ship, but let's give this ship a test real quick. And I'm going to take us to some farming grounds. Typically, I'll load up a bunch of contracts. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to come over here and just come up in here and do some shots with this. These are not the best ships to test it out on, but understand, as you progress through a season pass, the main enemy, they get harder as you go. So test it out on the normal ships. Anything that's normal, like DMC, stuff like that, things that are always going to be in the game. You don't want to be testing out ship builds just on battle bosses or just on these convoys and stuff, because you might miss out on a really good build, because once you get to about midpoint of any season, they've nerfed your weapons and buffed the enemy so much to where you need to have a team to play with. That's what people are like, man, why are they making it so hard? Well, they're doing that for those who have teams. I mean, most of us, we play in a team anyway. It's like sell around with our friends and stuff. But when you can come up and just bust through, just come through and shoot right through the game and get all the missions completed on your own, you're kind of like, you just jump in and get it done real quick. But if it requires teamwork, to me, it makes the game a little bit more interesting. And that seems to be what they're really pushing, is some team play, which is good. And they haven't forgotten about your single players either, because they've kept it where, you can build a good ship, do some massive damage with that. I think we just hit a freaking wave, man. Okay. Decent. I gotta say, though, I'm not seeing a real big difference between that and the Zama 3s. Let's go find some ship to test on. But like I say, we're approaching midpoint of a season, so it's kind of hard to determine what these are going to do. And one of the things I've noticed too is a lot of times the new weapons that they release, say in this season, next season they'll actually get kind of a buff to them. That wasn't a bad 2 shots took him out, so it's not bad. Those are just rogues. Sometimes you get something decent out of the rogue. Now, you may be wondering why I've switched to Crouching Tiger instead of the missiles that I like so much. The reason I've done that, one, you can see the damage it puts out, especially off a sand bucket. It helps to add that that fire effect in there. But it also, if they survive it, if they happen to survive that shot, it puts that taunt effect on there. So when they fire back, I'm only getting 50% of the damage. I'm only taking in 50% of the damage. So that's why I use that. Now there are some bombards you can use on the back of the ship, and I've given some thought to put them on the back, but they don't have that fire effect. They have an explosive effect. So I've not switched off my fire bombard 3s yet on this. But that's kind of what I'm looking at with this, and that's the types of armors and stuff we use, guys. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this really opened your eyes to some possibilities within the Helm management system, what they're evolving it into. It's come a long way from season 1, I think, but that's kind of where we're at, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. We'll catch you next time.